So the next thing to talk about would be interregional routes. So basically shorter distance intercity routes that kind of are longer than commuter routes but kind of fill the void of a commuter route closer into Atlanta. More akin to the Piedmont service. This is a schematic map of what we could do around Atlanta. Don't worry, I have like a map where we show the geography more clearly. Basically, 6 lines radiating, going from one side of the metro to the other side of the metro, and then just beyond in a lot of cases, to basically enable people to get around without having to use their car as much, and also to serve as a proof of concept for commuter rail in the future. And we're going to use a Athens to Atlanta to Macon route, the combined route, which is the light blue line here on this map. It's kind of our case study. It's 175 miles in total length, longer than a commuter route, roughly on par with the Piedmont and the Capital Corridor in terms of its length. And we'll talk briefly about the 2006 commuter rail map later. So travel volume on this corridor is 80 to 147,000 between Atlanta and Macon. It gets over 180,000 in places like McDonough, which are like the busiest segments of the I-75 corridor between the two cities, at least till you get to where I-75 and I-85 come together on the south side of the metro by the airport. Studies for the Athens to Atlanta segment show it to be around 220,000 people, or 220,000 vehicles over I-85 and Highway 316 every day. This is the traffic volume map from 2010. So a potential train would go from Athens through to Winder, through to Decula and Lawrenceville, and eventually into North Lake Tucker and then through Emory and into downtown. And as you can see, that basically just parallels every the most densely, not densely used, but the most crowded roads and highways in the. This is mostly Gwinnett and northern DeKalb counties on into Athens. So potential ridership, there are 56.9 million potential travelers every year that use their cars to get between both of these places, well, to Atlanta and all these places. We did a 9 daily round trip train similar to the Hiawatha, which is pictured here. We could, at a 1% margin, get 795,000 people a year at full tilt. If it got up to the Piedmont's level of success at this level of frequency, you could get up to 3.18 million, which is would be one of the busiest Amtrak routes in the country. You think up there with a Surfliner prior to the pandemic, which I'm not sure if that would actually happen, at least not immediately, because it takes years to change travel patterns. So the next question is what is the current capacity of public transportation in this area? So we have the express bus system. Busiest routes run 6 times a day. Greyhound bus holds about 55 people, which means 330 people per route per weekday maximum. And a few of these routes do run less frequently than 6 times a day. They're also all timed to be morning inbound, afternoon outbound, and some of them do run really inconvenient schedules, so it's not like you can use these very easily during the day. So 3-car Hiawatha train holds 222 people. 9 daily round trips would be just under 4,000 people per day per route. Expand up to 5 cars and it gets up to 5,900 passengers per day per route that could use this. And again, this is all seats occupied, end to end, so it would be more or less depending on how far people actually would ride these. So the Bread Express, its maximum route or maximum daily capacity on 15 routes is 4,950 people daily. 2025 ridership was about 940 daily riders. And again, trains are going to be running low, 4,000 per day if people rode end to end, which isn't going to happen. But that's kind of low end max capacity. It gets more because you can cram more people onto the train. People are going to get on and off. Once the seat opens up, if people are taking it from I don't know, Griffin into Atlanta and they get off, that's like a seat that opens up to for the like leg out to Athens. Per bus route, there's 330 people. Per short three-car train, we're talking 220, so we're like at 2/3 of the capacity with just one train trip a day. That doesn't mean you get rid of the entire bus network though, because at least for like the intercity trains, like the trains going to like Charlotte or Nashville, you could basically use this structure to be like a connecting bus service to get to some of the other suburbs around Atlanta. So like have these like run into like wherever the new train station is. People get off their like train from Charlotte, they get on the bus to go out, and then the buses come in to connect to the trains. Uh, it is possible that like after let's say 2 or 3 years of like if we had this like network running of like trains, like the bus routes might be gone or might not be needed anymore, or they could be just turned into three-way connections for the longer distance trains. So it's like I'm not saying like you exactly replace the buses with the train, but there's a good chance that if you had a more robust, longer distance, like quasi commuter, quasi long distance train network, that some of these bus routes might be gone just because there'd be no, or there'd be significantly less demand for them. But also in conjunction with like longer distance trains, like out of state, like you might want to have these buses kept around as like midday connection services to the train, so people don't have to like drive into Atlanta, uh, assuming that some of these places are not exactly on a train line or would have a convenient schedule necessarily to connect to the trains. Like say if you're going from like Noonan to Charlotte, it might be easier to have the bus run into downtown and connect with the train going to Charlotte than they'll try to like use the train that would run through here to get to downtown to transfer. And if we spread out the like zoomed out and looked at this like a geographically, like what would this map look like? This is what it would look like. So the yellow area is like the core parts of the metro, like the five MARTA counties, Douglas and Henry County, like the most core part of the metro. So you can see like all of these routes do extend far beyond what would normally be a commuter rail network. Like most of the commuter trains proposals like don't go out to Alatoona, they don't go out to like into like the Blue Ridge Mountains, they don't go out to Tacoma, they sometimes don't even go to Gainesville. Um, I'm not going to even go to Athens. Like some of these are like very much they're just within the Atlanta Regional Commission, do not go beyond. These are like I'm saying should go maybe not far beyond. I mean far in the case of like Chattanooga on one of these or Toccoa or even down to Macon and Warner Robins. But like a lot of these should generally go to like either the extremity of the metro or further because if you want to like zoom back and look at the map, like a lot of these do all have like at least a leg that goes further than the metro boundary. And if we were to add routes like this in other parts of Georgia, we could have a little hub in Macon, so Macon to Columbus, Macon to Augusta, Macon to Athens direct, and then an Augusta to Athens route. And then one down here in South Georgia is sort of the Statesboro and Savannah route, which is theoretically possibly being considered for the Savannah Atlanta route, but would be a very weird detour. Really, probably should just be its own little route to connect the two because I mean, big state university, uh, second biggest metro, should probably have some limited service between them. So the next question being is how much would all of this cost? Because this is obviously going to be expensive. Uh, so colors designated on the schematic map, endpoints, beginning points, total mileage. I actually did go on Google Maps and look at all this. Assuming the Colorado costs are accurate and we're getting up to roughly the same amount of frequency, be about just under 9 billion, so 8.8 billion-ish dollars. Assuming about 1.3 some odd billion of that would just be rolling stock. And yes, this is very expensive. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like very cheap, but we'll do some cost comparisons on in a couple slides. So assuming a 45 mile an hour runtime, Macon to Athens would be just under 4 hours. Peachtree City to Toccoa, 2 hours 45. Atlanta Chattanooga, 3 hours 10. Locust Grove to Carrollton, 220. Noonan to Rome, 235. And then Madison to Jasper, 255. And the relative cost of all of this. So Georgia had a undesignated budget surplus of $9 billion at the end of fiscal year 2025, which it has since used for a lot of tax cuts. So, not putting it into roads, like resurfacing any of our highways, not putting it into like fixing schools, not putting it into keeping like rural hospitals open, just straight into tax cuts. Um, and also, just for example, of like projects they are spending money on that are somewhat necessary, like I-20 and I-285 interchange on the east side of the metro is getting redone for 1.95 billion, which is a lot of it is safety improvements, and then some of it is capacity improvements. So it's not like that's completely unnecessary. But they are looking to spend $1.8 billion on more express lanes just in Henry and Clayton counties. And the Cobb project up in Cherokee County that opened a few years ago is $900 million. So that's $2.7 billion just into toll lanes, just into Metro Atlanta. That's not like necessary road work. So it's not like again, it's not like they're resurfacing the roads while they're doing this. It's not like they're improving safety of like exits while they're doing this. It's not like they're, I don't know, like pick whatever it is you want done on, um, like besides the toll lanes, like what you'd want in like transportation projects. Like this is not adding a lot of capacity. It's capacity you have to pay extra for. It's not necessary. Like you can spend $2.7 billion on anything else, transportation wise. Like again, just what they have spent or are planning to spend on toll roads would basically cover like a third of this rail service in and around Metro Atlanta. You triple it, which I'm going to guarantee you they're going to try to spend like $9 billion on toll roads at some point. Um, you might as well spend the 9 billion on trains, and even if you're paying to use it, at least you can drink coffee and like talk and use your phone or look out the window and not worrying about crashing while you're doing it. So again, this is spending money to build a thing you have to pay for separately. Might as well make it so that like you're not driving while you're doing this. It's just not cost effective. It's also considering you're already going to have to continue to spend millions of dollars of the toll money just to keep this open anyways. And on top of that, probably tax money because then that's getting laundered around too. As far as the tax cuts go, because I know that's what another thing people are going to say of like how much money this was, which I'm not going to lie, $714 is a lot if it came all at once, but other than the income tax rebate that does hit you at once, that isn't all coming at you at once. And if you make DeKalb County median income, like family income, the tax cut's only saving you $161.29 a year, which would be a lot, but you're splitting that over 26 pay periods, which is a couple bucks a week. Like reality is like, and again, if you're making less than $80,000 as a household, you're getting less than $2 a week back. The gas tax holiday that we had, if you're using 20 gallons a week, you save 53.28. If you use less than 20 gallons a week, you saved less. So this 1374 weekly savings is based on like, I don't know. I don't think anybody drives 20 gallon, like uses 20 gallons of gas a week. Like even at my most like drivey job, I still only used like 14-ish gallons a week. So it's like I don't know how many people are like actually gonna need to be using that. And also from what I can tell, the mileage and the like gas sales in Georgia, also people probably aren't using anywhere near that. So, and also it's temporary. It was only it's gone. It was gone long before this video was even on the drawing board. So, um, again, relative savings is not particularly much, especially considering only one of those hit at one time. And $500 again, it's not nothing. That's like an entire month of utilities for me. So it's including internet and phone and water and trash and power. So again, I get it. $400-500 is not a lot, but like the rest of it is very, very, very split over a very long period of time, and it's not a lot of money, relatively speaking. So again, this is like at a $9 billion surplus. Basically, like if you delay the tax cuts like a couple years, 2-3 years, you could pay basically for all of this and not even do an additional tax for it. So again, relative cost is not particularly high, especially considering again they're going to spend all this on toll roads anyways. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip of a much longer video. The longer video is somewhere on the channel. And just thank you for listening to this shortened clip from a, again, much longer video. sharing my thoughts. Just thank you. And Discord link somewhere, probably below me. Comments if you want to complain. And yeah. Anyway, just thank you for listening to what I got to say.